Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. If you're coming on, joining me live, please do me a quick favor. Hit that like button, hit that share button, and tag Lolly Dolly everybody and let them know your boy, my squad, we're live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we are already rejoicing. We are glad in it. As you see, we are live in the training room of the second floor of our headquarters, which is where we hosted this past Saturday our holding company workshop. What an extraordinary workshop we hosted this past Saturday. If for some amazing reason you are joining me today and you were one of the attendees this Saturday, whether you were in person or virtual, please do me a quick favor. Put in the comments something speaking to how amazing this workshop was. Again, if you attended the workshop this past Saturday, in person or virtual, I want you to put in the comments something that resonated with you, and just to let our audience know how amazing of a workshop it actually was. For those of you that missed the workshop just this past Saturday, April the 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., literally, I taught all 6 hours. I probably took about a 5-minute break to use the bathroom at some point. Other than that, I literally sat up here in the front, and we had attendees in person. We had VIPs in person, and we also had attendees that were virtual. We probably had a couple dozen, maybe 3 or 4 dozen people that were virtual. And we had an extraordinary deep dive. I taught all the ins and outs of holding companies, operating companies, LLCs. We talked about trusts. We talked about creative tax strategies. We talked about systems, processes, becoming coaches, how to become a consultant, how to run certain businesses through your holding company. Like literally anything you can think about regarding a holding company, regarding an enterprise, regarding expanding an organization, we talked about. And so right here in my hand, I have the physical workbook for the holding company workshop. It was probably like 30 pages, but it was probably 300 pages of content, because every page and every section of every session that we covered, there were always nuances that we needed to touch on. There were questions that the attendees had, or there were some stories that I wanted to share based on an experience that I had. So it was absolutely extraordinary. Of course, for those of you that are watching today, if you did not make the in-person or virtual live holding company workshop Saturday, we have a special offer that we want to extend to you today. So be sure to be prepared to take down the number that I'm going to give you and the word that I want you to text if you want a digital copy of this workbook, if you want the 6-hour replay from Saturday's workshop, and if you would like to also have 1-year access to my online holding company course plus my startup kit, I want to give you that opportunity to take advantage of that. Again, we're going to give you access to the 6-hour workshop that we already have uploaded to our dashboard on our university platform. We're going to give you access to your own digital PDF workbook that you can upload to your computer. You can print it out and you can track along with the 6-hour training that I do. Most likely, if you have any questions about holding companies, if you have any questions about starting them, structuring them, filing and forming the paperwork, transferring existing LLCs to new holding companies, dissolving one, starting another one. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, I can almost guarantee most likely someone in person and virtual asked the question and I answered the question and probably gave more of an extensive answer than they even anticipated. So I want to say thank you to all of you that did join me this Saturday for the workshop. I appreciate you, my team and I. We're just grateful that you trust us to help you properly start, properly structure, and properly scale your business and your organizational enterprise. So for those of you that are just coming on, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Again, the show is set up a little different. I'm not in my studio. We're actually in the training room on our second floor because all of my lighting and my equipment was already in here. This is where we hosted our holding company workshop this past Saturday. That was a one-day deep dive, and so I decided I was going to leave everything as is, and I would just at least come on today's show from our training room. And if this is your first time watching me, maybe you don't even know who I am. My name is Ramonepreston. Of course, I'm the host of the Ramonepreston Show, the CEO of Ramonepreston Enterprises. I'm a business and financial consultant. I'm a coach. I'm an educator. And my company, we specialize in helping people like you properly start, properly structure, so at some point you could properly scale any business, any ministry, income stream, and wealth building dream. So it doesn't matter if you're a W-2 employee, if you're a 1099 contractor, or anything in between. The information that I share just on this show alone is information that's transformational. We had a couple attendees this past weekend that were telling me just from the information they have learned watching my YouTube videos, in which I got over 3,000 YouTube videos on YouTube alone. I had a few people that were just telling me this weekend, just the information from the YouTube videos alone about holding companies and business systems has transformed their lives. I just love when I get people who can come to a live event and then they can share testimonies. Like one of our attendees, he said he's been watching me for a couple years. He signed up and purchased my holding company course prior to even being a part of this workshop offer that we extended. And he was just telling me how he went through the online course and he set up his holding company, he set up his subsidiaries, he got his bank account set up. He did everything exactly like I taught him just in my online course. And he has his whole organizational enterprise set up. So the stuff that I share with you, number one, I come from a background as an entrepreneur for over 2 decades where I didn't have connections. I didn't know the right people. I didn't have credit. I didn't have a lot of resources. It was just me and my wife as a 2-person team. And we made a commitment over 20 years ago that we were going to, of course, do ministry because I'm a minister as well, a pastor, a preacher, but we knew we wanted to be full-time entrepreneurs. And honestly, my wife and I, we had this intention that we wanted to build our business so big so that our business could finance our ministry. People who have been with us from day one, they'll tell you when we first started our church in 2007, that was 16 years ago. When we first started our church in 2007, no lie, no cap, we didn't even take up offerings. You know how you take up offerings during the church service? We wasn't even taking up offerings when we first started our church because we had this belief that we were going to finance our ministry with our business. That's how confident we were in what we set out to do. And for the last 20 years, that's what we've done. We've consulted probably at this point thousands of people. We've worked with thousands of students, clients from all walks of life to help them with their businesses, with their ministries, with their products, with their services, with their infrastructure so that they can at least have an at-bat to be successful. So for all of you that are watching today, I'm dedicating this show to the recap of this past Saturday's holding company workshop. And again, if you missed it, I'm going to give you an offer. I'll give you a number and a word that you can text to me today, and you can get instant access to the digital workbook for the holding company. Just this workbook alone is worth way more than 30 pages. It's worth probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to those of you who really want to leverage a business. Most entrepreneurs, they start businesses, whether it's an LLC or an S Corp or whatever, but most entrepreneurs, they start a business, they go out into the marketplace, they try to push that business, push that product, and push that service, and they have no idea how understanding concepts like the holding company could help them diversify the assets that they own and control. So for example, if you are in the marketplace with a business and you provide a service for that business, all you're doing is trying to get customers and clients to buy that product or to provide that service. When you understand concepts like the holding company, you will start identifying with assets that your company, that one company owns and controls that maybe you didn't even think was an asset, whether it's your trademark, whether it's your logo, whether it's your domain, whether it's your copyrights. There can be a certain process and system that you use to provide your service. That's intellectual property. It can be equipment. It could be 2, 3 different businesses that you have in one business, but you don't see it that way, that if you just separated those entities, you can create momentum just within your own organization. So for example, I have multiple divisions under one umbrella, but the average business consultant, the average business coach, or the average online course educator who may be doing similar things like me, they may have one business with all these things meshed in it, and they don't see the value of these other assets. So I cover all these things in this holding company workshop because I truly believe we are already seeing studies that within the next 3 years, the number of millionaires are going to double just in the United States alone. I don't know if any of y'all seen those studies. So there are studies that show between 2023 and 2026, the number of millionaires are going to double. So the number of millionaires are going to go from about 22 million to about 44, 45 million. Now, there are also studies in the coaching industry that show the number of coaches are expected to double. Like literally, there are about 55,000 coaches today, if I'm not mistaken, in the world, about 55,000. That number is expected to double in the next 3 years. Now, don't you think there's a correlation between coaching, consulting, education, and new millionaires? Of course there is. But a lot of these people are taking concepts like the holding company and they're diversifying assets that they already own and control, but they're just restructuring them in a way to make it look and feel bigger than what it actually is, to give them leverage to get more attention in the marketplace. As a matter of fact, I read a article just this morning. I read an article, I believe it was a Forbes magazine article, and they were talking about how the parent company of Louis Vuitton, Moet, Sephora, the parent company that's from Paris, it's a parent company that owns all these companies. And they were talking about how, number one, this company just recently bought Tiffany & Co. for like $15 billion. But they were talking about how this parent company has like seen an explosion of increase of value. It's seen an explosion of revenue. It's seen an explosion of free cash flow. The CEO of this parent company of Louis Vuitton and Moet and all these other brands, the CEO of this company, he's actually categorically today the richest man in the world. He has bypassed Jeff Bezos. He has bypassed Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates. Now, one of the reasons why his company is exploding is because this is a holding company. Like so many people, when they talk about holding companies and they ask questions about it, they don't understand that some of the biggest companies in the world are holding companies. So when you see somebody talking about a company and they use the word parent for a parent company, Okay, they're talking about a holding company. They're talking about a company that's been set up to hold assets, to hold certain things that can give this main parent company an explosive advantage in the marketplace so that it can give this parent company leverage. But you don't have to be a $500 billion or $1 trillion company to use this concept. You could be a solopreneur sitting home trying to figure out how you're going to make a couple dollars for you and your family. And you can take concepts like the holding company concept and you can use it to, number one, build an infrastructure that gives you better brand awareness, build an infrastructure that makes all of your ideas clear. In other words, that your ideas can all be under an umbrella rather than you trying to take every idea and turn every idea into a separate business that you personally own. Those ideas should be businesses or products and services under one business that you own so that the business, which is the holding company, could own those other businesses. Like all of the wealthy companies in the world, they use the concepts that I'm talking about. So today's recap on the holding company workshop is really to help you heighten your awareness on what should you be doing, especially in what seems to be a very volatile economic climate. What should you be doing with your business? What should you be doing with your ideas? What should you be doing with products and services that you might be already selling? What should you do if you're an entrepreneur? Well, I think what you should be doing, number one, is educating yourself. You should be educating yourself on the most sophisticated business principles. You should be learning concepts. You should be trying to figure out how can I put these principles and concepts to practice to make my business a little bit better. Like everything that I'm talking about that I'm suggesting that you should do, I've done it. And the reason why I've been able to create a 7-figure organizational enterprise, really, even though I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, it's really just been the last 4 or 5 years that I've kind of grooved in and dialed in on these principles and concepts in a way that it's given me that ability to explode and expand. And we're on our way to becoming an 8-figure. I want to be a 10-figure organizational enterprise, but you got to start at some figure. But most entrepreneurs, they never really get past, they never really even get into 6 figures. Most entrepreneurs don't even get to 6 figures. Most entrepreneurs don't even get to 6 figures. Most entrepreneurs don't even make $100,000 a year. As a matter of fact, studies already show the average business owner only makes probably $20,000, $30,000, and that's not even net. But we want to change that dynamic. We want to change that dynamic. Man, ain't nobody got time to be, sacrificing all day life, sacrificing all their time, all their resources, sacrificing relationships. You sacrifice everything when you're an entrepreneur. You sacrifice your health, you sacrifice your peace of mind, you sacrifice your marriage, your relationship, your with your kids. Like all of us who are entrepreneurs, we sacrifice everything. And so the last thing we want to do is be sacrificing all this stuff and we ain't getting nothing out the deal because we don't have certain boxes checked that we know need to be checked. Okay, so what are some of those boxes that need to be checked? Well, here's one box, and I talked about this Saturday in the workshop, and I'll just give you a little bit on some of the boxes that you need to check. Those of you that are on IG, I'm walking away from the screen because I'm hosting the show today in my training room, which I'm normally in my studio. And so because I'm in my training room, I'm realizing that this digital whiteboard, it goes to sleep on me after about, 20 minutes or so. And I have to reset it and cut it back on. So what are some of the boxes that you need to check as an entrepreneur? Well, the first box is the business structure box. Now, I would say business structure, even though you can market products and services without having a legitimate business. But for those of you who have goals to build real businesses, you want to have a real business, you want to have employees, you want to have payroll, salaries, you want to own enterprises, you want to do the doggone thing. one of the first things that you need to focus on is business structure. If you are an entrepreneur like me, you want to understand the bigger picture, even if you just getting started. How many of y'all entrepreneurs are like me when it comes to that? I don't want somebody to just give me A, B, C, D. Like, give me the whole alphabet and let me decide where I start at. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hate when somebody wants to just give me incremental pieces of information. Just give it all to me and let me decide. That's the kind of entrepreneur I am. And honestly, this is the kind of entrepreneur most entrepreneurs that I meet are as well. As a business consultant, I've sat down with countless entrepreneurs who, when you start talking with them, they think the same. They just want to know it all. They want to figure it all out, and then they decide how they go. But I don't want to just start building a business blindfolded. That's why I always talk about the holding company concept, because even if you got a business that sells a product or a business that offers a service, even though you still got to go out into the marketplace and bang that business out to sell a product, bang that business out to sell a service, it still feels better to know what is the next step outside of me just banging this business out. Oh, the next step would be for me to have a parent company. So you have big companies like, let's say, Google and YouTube. They were big even before they reorganized and restructured their organization. But they got to a certain point that they were so massive and big. What did they do? They took YouTube and they took Google and they put it under the holding company called Alphabet. So a lot of companies, they do it after the fact. The Walton family, Sam Walton's family, they did it after the fact. Remember, he started Walmart. Walmart morphed into Sam's Club. And then at some point, the Walton family created Walton Enterprises, which is a holding company. You understand what I'm saying? So this concept, a lot of companies do it, but they do it after the fact once they grow and get big enough. They just hire firms to reorganize and restructure their company in a way to make it make sense, to put it under a parent company. I'm talking about the same thing. I'm just saying to you as a solopreneur or a startup, do it right the first time. Like, it's only a little bit of extra paperwork you're going to have, but why not just do it right the first time? So the first box you want to check, the first thing that you really want to make sure that you are focusing on as an entrepreneur, especially in this economic climate, is your business structure. You want to make sure that you have your business structure set up. If you already have an LLC, you already got a name, you selling products and providing services, then that's cool. But at some point, you may want to start a holding company to put the operating company under so that you can start playing a different game. That's the whole goal. The goal is for you to grow to a point to where you exit your role as the operator of that business. And in order for you to exit that role, you're going to have the right infrastructure set up. So I would say the first thing that you want to focus on is your business structure. Okay? The business structure is the first thing. So if you're taking notes, write that down. Ramonepreston said, I need to make sure I have the right business structure so that whatever the things are that I want to do in business now and 10 years from now, I have a clear picture of how that works. So for me, I have Ramonepreston Enterprises. It's a holding company structurally, but operationally, I market it as a coaching, consulting, and educational company because I run those services of coaching, consulting, and education through my holding company. I do that for a very strategic reason. For number one, I want to build a business, but I also want to build brand identity. Okay. And not only do I want to build brand identity, but I want to make sure that I have a brand ambassador. I want to be able to show up in the marketplace all day and have at least one company representing all the other things that I'm doing. And if I can build a business structure in a way that it has brand identity, and if it carries my name particularly, and I'm the brand ambassador, it just makes it easier for me to go to the marketplace. So it don't mean your holding company has to have your name. It just means if your main holding company does have your name and you make a decision to build a brand around your name, it just makes your messaging easier when you go into the marketplace. It's no different than, let's say, you go to Walmart. It's a supermarket, right? Or you go to Publix. it's a supermarket. Or if you're in the South, you go to Winn-Dixie, it's a supermarket. Or Kroger in the North, it's a supermarket, right? Well, when you go into the supermarket, you're going into one store. It ain't like they're marketing 30 different stores. Publix and Kroger and Winn-Dixie and Walmart, they're not running ads talking about, hey, we want you to come over here to the aisle 8 store or the canned goods store or the seafood store or the baby diaper store. No, those are just all products and services and divisions and subsidiaries. They got all types of businesses inside the store. They just want to create a consistent brand to get you in the store. That's why your business structure is so important. Now, what would be the next thing that you need to really focus on when you have your business structure set up? The next thing, in my estimation, should be your products and services. Okay? So write that down. Your products and your services. This should be your next focus. Once I get my business structured, I need to have products and services. I should already have product and service ideas. Maybe I'm already in the marketplace. This is why sometimes it flips depending on what type of entrepreneur you have, meaning that if I have certain products and services that I can sell, I'm not waiting until I get my LLC to sell the product and service. I'm going to just start getting pre-orders and selling my product and service if it's the type of business that I can get away with that. If it's not, then you just wait until you get your business set up, right? Okay? But again, your products and services are important because most entrepreneurs, even entrepreneurs who start businesses, the big problem they have is they do not have what we call a MVP. They don't have a minimum viable product. So you building this big old business, like literally, I'm a consultant. So I've sat down with clients who have 3, 4, 5 different LLCs. And I'm like, okay, so what's the product you selling? Well, I'm still working on my product. So what's the service you provide? Well, I don't know yet. I'm just going to provide some service. You got to figure that out because you got to have something to go into the marketplace with. That's why products and services are important. And this should be at the inception stage of your business. That means even before you get your LLC and your holding company and your trust and all this stuff people be thinking about, have some type of doggone product and service that you can go into the marketplace and provide. Okay? So we have business structure. That's number 1. Okay? Number 2, we have products and services. And then number 3, we have marketing and sales. If you have a product and a service or a service, all right, that you are running through a business, whether it's a holding company, an operating company, or all of the above, the first thing you need to be doing is marketing the product and the service. You need to be going to the marketplace. That's why marketing and sales is on that list. And as I said, depending on what type of entrepreneur you are, depending on how aggressive you are, what type of network you got, what type of lead board you have, database you have, you might be doing it even before you get all this other stuff situated. But you cannot market and sell nothing. You got to have something. Even if it's just an idea, you got to have something. At least if I'm selling an idea, I know the idea will turn into a product, a service, or something that I can produce and provide to someone who pays me money to do business with me. Am I making sense to you? So you have business structure, you have products and services, you have marketing and sales. Now, once you start marketing your products and services and selling your products and services, the next box you want to check is your financial systems. Your financial systems. Now, your financial systems can include, but it won't be limited to you having a QuickBooks account or some type of financial management software that you're using to track your income and expenses. But financial systems also includes you becoming more financially literate. you understanding the basics of accounting, you understanding how to track income and expenses, how to trace past income and expenses, how to stay on top of real cash collected, free cash flow that's in reserves or that's sitting, how to forecast into the future to make better financial decisions. All of this is a part of financial systems. Learning to implement and execute creative tax strategies, all that falls under the banner of financial systems. So once you start marketing your business, your products, your services, and making money, and then you start selling and converting and closing deals, the next problem you're going to have that you need to be prepared for is the financial systems problem. You need to at least know your way around QuickBooks, or have a bookkeeper or an assistant, someone who knows their way around QuickBooks, so that you could track all income, all expenses, or all profits and loss, whatever the wording is that you use. You could track what cash flow you have left, what real cash you have collected in real time. You can forecast the future financially better because you understand financial systems, all right? And then last but not least, the next box you want to check, or the next thing you want to focus on, is your operations. Okay? Your operations. You want to focus on your operations. So what this means is you have to really start thinking about, how do I put a general operating system together? How do I, as the CEO, put an infrastructure operationally together so that I can start identifying with who is going to be my integrator, who is going to be like the operations person, if I even have that person, or when I get that person, what does that person need to do to complement and complete what I do? Who's going to be the person for my financial department, for my sales department, for my marketing department? These are areas that you have to have operational systems and processes and practices and procedures in place if you plan on growing your business. If you don't plan on growing your business, if you ain't interested in getting wealthy, if you ain't trying to go no further than just you getting a couple dollars and being happy as a solopreneur, none of what I'm saying makes sense to you, and it means nothing to you. But I promise, if you plan on growing your business beyond $20,000, $30,000 a year, beyond $100,000, $200,000 a year, if you plan on growing your business to several, even if it's just several $100,000, even if it's just $300,000, $400,000 a year, you're going to have these types of systems and processes in place, even if you don't have the people. Even if you don't have the people. Okay, before I started hiring people to come on board, I had to have systems and processes so it can make sense to me. Because there was a time I was the CEO, I was the CMO for marketing, CSO for sales, CFO for financials, COO for operations. I had to maintain and manage all of those different aspects of what I did as a solopreneur until I was able to bring on people. And I'm still building my operational system, my general operating system out so that I can make it even easier and more efficient and effective for the people who come along for the ride, okay? So for all of you that have been watching, whether you caught all of what I said or just some of what I said, I just covered like 5 of the most important components to building a successful business. Number 1, the business structure. Number 2, your products and services. Number 3, your marketing and sales. Number 4, your financial systems. And number 5, your operations. Here's the good part about it. This past weekend in my holding company workshop, that's the workbook right here. It's 30 pages. Like, there's nothing about a holding company you have questions on that I don't answer in this book, or if I don't answer it in this book, I guarantee I've answered it in my online holding company course. I have probably about 60 or 70 questions just in my online course alone. But just this past Saturday in this workshop I hosted, I took 6 hours to teach this. It took me 6 hours to get through this 30-page workbook. One of the reasons is because out of the people who were in person and virtual, I probably answered maybe 60 or 70 questions. At least 60 or 70 questions. So here's what I want to offer you. If you're watching and you missed the live workshop this past Saturday, but you want to learn about what I just talked about, business structure, products and services, marketing and sales, financial systems, operations, I want to give you access to your own digital workbook, a PDF version of this that you can download and you can have a copy of so that you can learn all the ins and outs. I want to give you access to my 6-hour full replay, the whole 6 hours that I deep dived into this book and into 60 or 70 other random questions, from trust to, oh my God, we just talked about everything. Trust, we talked about financing, funding, we talked about lending. I had a lender that was here. Like, it was so amazing. I want to give you access to the workbook, to the 6-hour replay, and I want to give you 1-year access to my holding company course. I have an online course that goes even deeper than just this workshop alone. I want to give you 1-year access to that holding company course. It includes a startup kit. So I want to extend this offer to you today, especially because we're recapping from just this past weekend. We had such an extraordinary turnout and we had some extraordinary results. So if you would love to have access to this digital workbook on the holding company workshop, you want access to the 6-hour replay that I taught on this and all the questions that I answered, and if you want 1-year access to my holding company course and startup kit, we can get you instant access. Literally, we can get you onboarded in minutes. All you need to do is text. Here's what you need to write down. Text the word replay, REPLAY. Text replay to 678-276-8253. You should be writing that down. Text the word replay to 678-276-8253. Again, if you would like to have your own copy of this holding company workbook, the digital PDF version, if you would like to have access to the 6-hour training that I did just this past Saturday, and if you would like to have 1-year access to my online holding company course, this is a whole separate course with dozens and dozens of video lessons, documents, forms. We have an operating agreement in there. We have asset transfer agreement, lease agreements. We have all the documents and forms, and I have a startup kit inside the online course with tutorial video walkthroughs to show you how to file and form your paperwork, how to start and structure it, how to draft your operating agreement. Like I said, I just had a client that came Saturday. I didn't even know he was on my online course, but he showed up to the workshop Saturday and told me, you know, I'm here to get extra information from you, but just from the online course alone, he was telling me, I did everything you told me to do. I literally followed your instructions. I have my holding company set up, my operating companies. I got my bank accounts. He was like, I got everything straight. Now I'm just working towards getting it marketed and going so I can build it. I'm like, it's self-explanatory. I'm giving it all to you for $97, okay? $97. This is a $994 program, okay? My holding company workshop is regularly $497. My holding company course and kit is regularly $497. So that's $994. I'm gonna give it to you for $97. Just text the word replay to 678-276-8253. Okay? 678-276-8253. And for all of you who are eager to really build $1 million companies, at some point, what I just shared with you today, just on this show, these 5 components, at some point, you got to deal with this. I don't know how you think you're going to build $1 million business or any business that's substantial and successful if you don't focus on these 5 components we talked about. That's why I teach and talk about it all the time. Business structure, products and services, marketing and sales, financial systems, and operations. You gotta have it. It's just no way around it. I remember when I didn't have none of those. And I remember my wife and I having a conversation. This was about maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And we were really just scrapping. We were making money in real estate, but we were just rinsing and repeating. We wasn't building nothing substantial. It wasn't lasting. It didn't have longevity because we didn't have the right business system. And when we sat down and we started fleshing and strategizing and thinking that thing through, that's when we restructured our whole organization. And we did exactly what I'm telling y'all to do. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, it has attributed mostly to why we are where we are, why we have the success that we have. Because we put a business structure together that we knew was for the long game. We developed products and services that were valuable, that were in demand. We knew they were needed. We had already proven these products and services because we were already doing business consulting, particularly in the real estate arena. Then we started marketing and selling. Then we started really implementing and executing sophisticated strategies for tax purposes to minimize our taxes, maximize our deductions. We started really, like leaning into the creative tax strategy execution. And then we figured out what our operational system needed to be. Who was going to be the CEO? Who was going to be the COO? How were we going to build our marketing and our sales and our financial divisions out? And who were the people that we needed to bring in to help us start expanding and growing? And so, we've done it. We've done it and we're continuing to do it. We're continuing to grow and expand. But now it's almost like if you know how to write the letter A, right? If you can write a letter A, lowercase a, you can write a bigger A. And then a bigger A because you know how to write the word A. So it's kind of like that in business. Once you figure out those components and you have them locked in and dialed in, it's easier to just start growing and expanding that. I've heard a lot of people say, and I understand what they meant when they said it, but I've heard a lot of people who are wealthy say, getting to your first million is what's really hard. But after your first million, it's like, okay, I've figured out enough stuff. And in order to get up to that point, you're going to have to understand these concepts and principles. So again, if you want to take me up on it, we can get you instant access to this holding company workbook and the 6-hour deep dive that I did on this workbook. It's absolutely awesome. Like I'm telling you, for me to go 6 hours on this workbook alone, and to answer about 60 or 70 questions. I mean, any question you could think about, people at this event were asking me. And then I'm gonna give you 1 year access to my online holding company course and the startup kit that comes with it. All of it for $97. Text replay, REPLAY. Text the word replay to 678-276. 8253. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready to bring today's show to a close. I would love to know what your biggest takeaway was. What is your biggest takeaway from today's show? I'm not able to see my chat screen because my computer's at the end of the table. Remember, I'm in my training room. I can only see what someone puts on IG. But I would love to know what your biggest takeaway was from today's show. What your biggest takeaway was. And if any of you watching and you came to the holding company workshop this past Saturday, I would love to know what was like the aha moment for you. What was the aha moment for you? I would love to know what that aha moment was. And hopefully you are preparing to join my Millionaire Mentorship Program. Okay? Catering at the Heart LLC on IG. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. They said their takeaway today was creating systems. It's all about creating systems. And that's one of the things that we do well. We work with all of our clients to show them how to Number one, put your business structure together. And then once your business structure is together, we show our clients how to integrate the most important systems. How do you integrate your marketing, your sales, your financial, and your operational systems into that business? So we have courses on all of that. We provide all of those courses and workshops in our Millionaire Mentorship Program. Like I promise you, well, I don't have to promise you, time is going to tell. You will just see, just stick around. All of the workshops and the courses and content and support that I provide as a coach and as a consultant, just in my Millionaire Mentorship Program, it's a 1-year program. Everything that I provide in that program is everything you need in order to build $1 million company. I know it because I've done it. I know my company is worth way more than $1 million. So I know it works. I know it works. And I know it's a lot of people who teaching and talking and saying the things that I'm saying to you on the internet, and they ain't built nothing. Only thing they built is a landing page or a funnel to sell you on an idea that they themselves have not even successfully built. I built it, so I know it works. I was telling a troll that last week. You know, they were questioning my intention and my motive to talk about the things that I talk about. And I was basically responding and clapping back at them so that they could know, just because I wanted to clap back, that my wife and I, we built a successful consulting business. At least in our estimation, it was successful. We were making 6 figures. So that was substantially successful to be making 6 figures. But we built a successful consulting business as a 2-person real estate team, my wife and I, 16 years before we even launched my online course or my coaching program. 16 years, we were already entrepreneurs. We just launched our online programs 4 years ago in 2019. All this stuff you can Google, by the way. All this stuff, if you do your research and fact check, it's receipts on it. So it's nothing nobody can lie about. So anyway, I appreciate all of you for joining the show today. We'll be back tomorrow, maybe in here in the training room. I felt good teaching from the training room today. It felt real good. It was a little open. I got lights. You know, in my studio, I don't have all of this, but it looked like it turned out pretty well. So, of course, I'll go back and rewatch the footage to see if I liked it enough to keep doing it. But I appreciate all of you. Thank you for joining the show today. Don't forget, please don't forget, if you have any questions. If you have any questions, that was my Instagram. My Bluetooth is connected to my speakers. But if you have any questions about your holding company, maybe you have LLCs that you've already started and you still have questions about how do I transfer them under a holding company, or maybe you have your holding company and your subsidiaries already set up, and maybe you're thinking about like, how do I create a trust? Whatever those questions are, feel free to reach out to me. And hopefully, if you haven't taken me up on this offer, you do. This is a holding company workshop, 6-hour deep dive, replay, a digital workbook to go with it, 30 pages of nothing but life-changing content and information, along with probably about 60 or 70 questions that I answer in that 6-hour window, plus 1-year access to my holding company course and startup kit, all for $97, okay? So take me up on it. Text the word replay. Text the word replay to 678-276-8253. All right, I love all of you. Appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here. Might be in the training room on the Ramonepreston Show. Peace out. I love y'all. Have an amazing day.